A lot of people ask about the title. Where does bird forgiveness come from? What is the idea of bird forgiveness? Has a lot to do with the environment, and the title poem actually came from a reading that I did at Beyond Baroque in Venice, where each poet had a bird fly into their poems. And so I decided that bird forgiveness, that was one of the first poems in the collection. And I'll start with the title poem. Bird forgiveness. Forgiveness begins with a bird for Alicia. Her pigeon flies through thin jail bars in Argentina, a skinny symbol of humanity, not big enough for a meal. For Ramon, forgiveness begins with a mockingbird lost in Ramon's 7th floor downtown loft, as if to tell him life in LA is redundant. The second struggle fools the bird as furious bones and wings flutter in Ramon's cupped palms. For Chole, her bird is a beloved niece, the girl gone the way of the thornbird who sings, "I'm okay" in Farsi. No bird language needed when a suicide of words fails. Her way out, deed done. For me, forgiveness begins with dead birds at my feet. Beautiful bird bodies blur. First, a red cardinal's baby bird hush, a soft winter landing. Then a yellow finch plops hard on concrete. I fling bird bodies to the wind and trash. I was supposed to do more. Save their feathers, shield their tender corpses from the calico cat, bury them for safekeeping. I was supposed to do more. Forgive me, birds. Thank you. And because Friday likes the cover image so much, I'm going to read. The cover image the artist is Sylvia Santa Maria, and you could say there's a little nepotism involved. She's sort of like our niece and our nephew's girlfriend, and she's an artist in New Orleans. And when she showed me this piece, it was one of her MFA projects at the University of New Orleans. I said, I have to have that for the cover of my book. And now the original sits above my living room. Pellicano Pardo, after Sylvia Santa Maria's Pellicano. When the age of birds gave way to the time of man, Pellicano was no stranger to morphine. First, he was an egg hatched by warm feet, time spent in anticipation of cracking the pink ceiling, cresting a new world, gave way to a mother's beak filled with fish. From male to female, he is now a she. Wings unfurl from long matted hair, awake in awkward, mutated state. The landing and takeoff prove the hardest. On bended knee, as if proposing, a faint blue eye turned sideways, Egyptian, profile immortalized on thick papyrus, pouched closed, proud bill snapped shut. This is how she wants to be remembered, in mid-morph, half human, half bird. Mutable mutant, she acclimates to climate spikes, her thunderous thighs, generous belly, fly south and thrive. She prefers brown and white wings to hands. Thank you. and Marcia have a lot, have contributed much indirectly to bird forgiveness. So the last time I was here, I drove home with my friend Emma, and we saw this scene, and this is the poem that I wrote after an afternoon of being here, and this is also the one that's on the Academy of American Poets website. The Praying Tree. 10 years of driving the same highway, past the same tree, the picture is at last complete. The eucalyptus tree and narrow birds above a blessed steel sea, with no thoughts of yesterday, today, or tomorrow. Black cormorants on bare branches spread their wings as if in prayer. A sunny day in Summerland, and the tree, visible only from the highway, hides its penitent perch from cars racing by too fast. 4 wheels swerve to avoid a sheer cliff, southbound on the 101. The fat sun slides its yoke into the glass ocean. Slow down. See an empty nest of woven round sticks in the praying tree. Birds soak in rays without fear of cancer or the nature of forgiveness. Slick imperfections, wet wings, open and close in Morse code for goodbye. This is the one that I wrote for Phil. Had the Water and Stone exhibit, and it was also about the environment and our droughts, and so I wrote this one. There was also more that I didn't get a chance to read at the exhibit, but I might share some of those. This is how the world ends. Blue wing feathers, soft rust bellies, no longer chirp in bottle brush hedge. The high-pitched cry from the patient nest sitter grows more frantic the moment his cold bird body hits the dirt. The sound eclipses any avian malice, no macho fight, not pecked to death, jabbed by a rival's bill, or snatched by the neighbor's calico. His fallen feathers mean she's gone too. Flown the coop in search of a live mate, a warm body to settle her nest. Ants, thirsty from drought, surround, begin their slow feast. The army tackles eyes no longer shiny, yet dull orbs offer answers, proverbial pearls of wisdom. The garden is strangely quiet. Imagine no buzz, no war of wings. This is how the world ends. One bee, one monarch, one barren field, one hungry child, one state without water, one western bluebird, one and then none. Another one from that section that there's a few poems that don't have specific birds flying, but this one was also from that I wrote with that exhibit in mind long after it happened. And that's kind of a wonderful thing when you have a call and it stays with you. The Mermaid of California. All that ocean, don't drink the water. My grandmother says it straight. I don't like water. We drink Coca-Cola instead. She put Coke in my baby bottle. Oceans gush oil, Pacific and the Gulf of Mexico. All that ocean, don't drink the water. Orleans Parish, St. Bernard and Jefferson warn against brain-eating amoebas in New Orleans tap water. The world has never been safe. As a child growing up in Los Angeles, I loved going to the beach. What's not to love? Ocean water crashes, then dies to a whisper of sea foam. She is a show-off as she twists, turns, and takes. The ocean does not wait for God's approval. Seagulls squawk as the birds circle for food and treasure. Kids taunt waves with their cherub feet as a familiar song plays softly from a sun-soaked girl's radio. The bronze girl doesn't care if her mother warned of water pollution at the beach. She swims on a dare, ringlets past her shoulders, and bikini strings bounce. Water tickles her feet, and she morphs into a mermaid. All that ocean, mermaid, don't drink the water. Since Phil did read the generous endorsement from Lee Herrick, and he liked the Elvis poem, I'm going to introduce you to Elvis. Elvis. All bluebirds are named Elvis. Elvis sighted on my patio. Elvis pecking too close at leftovers during happy hour. Elvis not in blue suede shoes, but in soft down. Blue fades to gray and brown, a white mottled belly, jet crown despite his feeling so lonely. Elvis all shook up and fat on corn and sunflower seeds. Elvis crooning and shaking his tail feathers. Elvis, oh how he loves my fruit trees, takes the sweetest note from the middle of the orange and leaves the shell hanging until a second look reveals his avian trick. Elvis turns loose on smaller birds who try to take his place at the rotating stage of a bird feeder. Elvis, louder than any schoolgirl fan, hungry cries, a song I cannot ignore. Elvis leaves the building, flies towards the neighbor's house. And that's our own classification here, our Channel Island scrub jay. I had to change the way I feed birds because I had this bird feeder, and every time the birds would come to eat, it would just like spin. And so we have a different method now. They don't have to, but I wrote this for that time. Bird carousel. It's a cruel trick called life. Some enjoy every melting minute, only to have the beauty end by a random bullet. An enlarged heart failed too soon. A driver texting, I'm starved, be home in a few. It's a cruel trick called food. Finches figure out how to art smart the cruel carousel, the unexpected go-around of a mason jar laden with birdseed, a soft landing for the orange-headed finch, claws hook onto the base, a chirp of triumph, and the striped belly shows off a crimson breast. The finch jumps up, lands backwards, the prettiest Mardi Gras Indian, head thrown back, chirp proud, until a plump pigeon cuts short his victory dance. The minute the pigeon returns to his pity of doves, the blue jay tries his luck at the elusive mixture of sunflower seeds and cracked corn. It's a cruel trick called love. Some spend their whole life in search of a mate, see a flit of color, a steady hand. Some, afraid of loneliness and quiet days, are worse than the girlfriend with the lousy man who yells at her. Verbal assaults mistaken for love. Woman too good for man. Man too good for woman. Woman too good for woman. Man too good for man. Yet made it for life like swans. The other poem that Phil and Marcia inspired, Marcia and Friday do this erotic poetry event, and Marcia invited me to read a poem, an erotic poem, and it was during the time when I took care of my grandmother while she was ill, and she was in and out of the hospital, and then I ended up staying with her until she died. But before, when things didn't look so bad, I told Marcia, I said, "Yeah, I'll write it. I'll go." And then a friend said, "There's no way you're going to read that poem given what's happened." So it was true. I couldn't. I just could not read it then, but I did write one, and I'll read it to you. Fire sign lover. He makes love as if it were his last time. When morning spreads her fingers, he will awaken me with a feathering of kisses on my neck, breast, or cheek, anything not covered by a sheet. An hour in the steaming hot summertime is fodder for play. Otherwise, under covers like a tightly curled cockatoo until afternoons when rays so strong the sun warms the pillows. Then, only then, does my mermaid body become a woman. Ticklish scales fall away to lotus legs, limber limbs reach the four corners of the bed, core about to burst, hot as fiery star cooled only by his touch. His lips play a feminine instrument, this rock and roll opera. And I'll end with this poem that is about the last moment of my grandmother's life. I took care of her during the last month, and it was an honor. What the birds know. The birds know not to complain about the sad state of their cage, neglected waste and green water. My grandmother lies paralyzed in her bed. I knock on her door, tell her that one of her birds is losing its crown of feathers. They always fight, she says. Her half-closed eyelids indicate she is tired. tired of talking about her caged birds, tired of her distasteful life. She murmurs, "Even the water tastes wrong. If only I could eat chile verde. Why aren't you bringing me dinner? ¿Dónde está la comida?" Her birds must think the same thing. ¿Dónde está la comida? Why does the water taste wrong? This place depresses me. When can I go? I roll up the cage's rotten stench, scrub away fluorescent algae, fill plastic holders with seed, but her birds remain angry. The blue parakeet continues to give her green companion a haircut. She pecks and pecks at his balding head. The two live like an old married couple, waiting for calloused hands to feed them, a grandmother to whistle and talk to them. Who wouldn't go mad cooped up in a cage? When my grandmother's spirit, a wavy mist, leaves her mouth like a genie escaping an open bottle, I say goodbye. Open all the doors and windows in the house, tiptoe to her bird cage, and let them all fly free. Thank you.